How would you feel to eat without feeling guilty, without feeling ashamed of yourself for what you're eating? Would it feel fucking amazing? I reckon it would, and I know it does, and I can tell you that from personal experience. Welcome back to the Fun with Food series. This is video 3, Guilt, Shame, and Chips. Do you like chips? Maybe it's something else for you that you really, really enjoy eating, but there is always this guilt and this shame attached to you and the food while you're eating it. How would you like to eat your favorite food without feeling that guilt and feeling that shame attached to every bite, attached to every cell of your being as you're eating the food that you actually really enjoy? Because there is this mentality of junk food versus healthy food always in what we eat. It is split down the middle and there are two sides. And you have to only ever be on one side. And it has to be the healthy side, right? Because we want to be healthy. We want to feel good. We don't want our bodies to be sick or to be ill. Definitely not. Food has a role in that in lots of different ways, but there are lots of other things that are involved in that. I won't go into that because that's not what this series is about. This is about having fun with food and letting go of the guilt and the shame that can be attached to what you eat. So in the last video, we talked about making the choices and where they come from and eating the way that you do. I talked about how understanding yourself is important, understanding your choices as best that you can. But now let's talk about some of the feelings that are attached to what we eat, especially guilt and shame. That is always constantly being thrown at us when we decide to make a choice. Because if you're not eating healthy, if you're eating something that is deemed unhealthy, that's where all the guilt and the shame lie. They're attached to that. But yet, there is still guilt and shame attached to the healthy stuff too. Because what if it doesn't have enough vegetables? What if it doesn't have enough protein, the fucking buzzword of the moment? What if it doesn't have enough antioxidants? What if it doesn't have enough greens? Like the list goes on. But that guilt and that shame is it tends to be really attached to everything that we eat because the choices are always wrong in some way. So that feeling of guilt and that feeling of shame rise up and we attach all of that to what we're eating. And that comes from a number of places. That guilt and that shame comes from, in my opinion, and from what I've seen, it comes from out here a lot. It comes from what your parents tell you about food. It comes from now what social media tells you about food. Back in my day, it was talk shows, it was advertising, it was magazines. Not a lot compared to what there is now. There's so many different social media platforms and there's a lot of people on there talking about what you have to eat and what you must eat, and you shouldn't eat this because, oh my God, it's got too much sugar, and you shouldn't eat this because it's got too much fat, and you shouldn't eat this because it's very unhealthy and it's got too many calories, and it's stressful. It's very stressful. I lived in that for a very, very long time, always feeling like I was eating the wrong thing, having that voice in my head. That's the other part of the equation, is that there is that voice in your head that keeps going around and around and around. And what is that voice for you? What is it saying to you constantly every time you eat something? Mine was so mean and nasty. I had a lot going on. I had the food addiction. I had the hatred for myself. I had what else did I had so much. There was a lot of stuff, honestly, that was real, but there was a lot of stuff that I can see now that was made up. That I didn't have to believe what was being shown to me by myself, by my mind. My mind, I believed, was the be all and end all of who I was. Every thought and every feeling that I had, well, that was just me. I didn't know that there was other parts of me that I could tap into, that I could listen to understand that I didn't have to feel this way about myself, about my body, and about the food that I was eating. But as I said, I had to go through all of that so that I could get here. So it's kind of I don't know how to explain it, but that was essential for my life. That was the life that I was meant to live. But I can also see from a different standpoint now how fucked up it was and what I was doing to myself and how I felt about myself and all of those thoughts that I continually had. And so much of that was guilt and shame. I was so ashamed of who I was. I was so ashamed of my body, of secretly eating all of this junk food, this terrible food, this unhealthy food, this food that was just so delicious in its own fucked up way that I ate in an overabundance that helped me to feel what I needed to feel in the moment, that it gave me something, because it always gives you something. It certainly gave a lot of guilt and a lot of shame. What else happens to us when we eat is that we feel bad about ourselves. Again, pretty much for everything that I've just talked about. We feel bad about ourselves always because there's always someone who likes to tell us that we're doing the wrong thing, that our choices are bad, that we shouldn't be doing this and we shouldn't be doing that. Don't eat this, don't eat that. And it's kind of fucking annoying, honestly, when you really think about it. We listen too much to what's out here and not enough of what's in here. And I'm going to explore that in the next video, connecting to your body. For now, it's that guilt and that shame that we feel with every bite. But how do we get rid of that? It's not easy because there is so much that goes into that. And this Fun with Food series is not going to dive very, very deeply into all of that stuff. I just want to start out light and get you going. I have a lot more to say. There's a lot more I need to share and show you and help you with and guide you back to. So for now, that guilt and that shame, they actually do not need to be there. When you feel them, notice them. Don't engage with them. Just notice that it's there. And maybe just think about where that's come from. Has it come from anywhere specific, or is it just that it's there? And you can just let it be. You can pull yourself out of that internal dialogue, watch it from the side, and just, it's like a movie just going on in the background while you're doing your housework or you're doing something else, and it's just there. You can kind of hear it, but you're not paying it any attention. So your next meal that you have, I want you to do that. I want you to simply notice how you're feeling. Whether it is guilt and shame, maybe it's something different. Maybe there's a lot of other things attached to it, which there most likely will be. And again, it's just noticing it, removing yourself from the conversation and noticing it, and just telling yourself it's okay to eat what you've chosen to eat right now, that you're not bad, that you're not making the wrong decision. It is what you have chosen to eat in the moment. That bag of chips or that really delicious something that is your absolute favorite that you cannot live without, that it's okay to have it. But it's when you eat too much of it, when you have, are the reasons attached to why you're eating it. And again, that's another thing to explore, which I most definitely will. We have a lot of what is attached to what we're eating and why we're eating it. Because the food that we choose to eat, a lot of the time it's never about that food. Food can simply be food. As I said, there's a lot of talk and a lot of judgment about this food being bad and this food being good. I don't want to go into that conversation ever. And I'll talk more about that in the next video when we explore connecting to your body. Okay. But for now, just understand that we don't have to see food as good or bad. We can see it as a choice that we have made. And the next video will explore how we can make that choice more kindly and more lovingly and with a lot of fun. Thank you for watching this Fun with Food series. And thank you for liking this video and subscribing to the Love Body Woman channel for more ways to listen, learn, and love. So to wrap up the video, as I already said, I just simply want you to notice how you are feeling when you eat. How much guilt and shame is there? What is happening? What is coming up? And don't get into that conversation with your mind as it keeps going, oh my God, you shouldn't be eating this. You shouldn't be eating that. It's not good for you. It's bad for you. It's got too much sugar. It's got too much fat. It's got too many carbs and not enough protein and all that stuff that we hear from the outside world that gets into our head. And then we bring that into the food that we eat. And it's exhausting, absolutely. But it doesn't have to be anymore. You get to make that choice to let that go. You don't need that. Nobody needs that, because all it does is make you feel like shit. You don't want to feel like shit when you're eating, because you bring that into your body as you're eating. You bring that guilt and that shame and all of that negative energy into your food, and then it makes you feel even worse. I don't want you to feel worse. I want you to feel better, because we deserve to feel better. I want you to have fun with food, and letting go of that guilt and shame is going to help you to do that. So if you haven't already, download the workbook. Use the prompts and the questions and all of the bits and bobs that are in there to help you explore what's going on inside of you and to help you to have more fun with food. Because we're here to enjoy our lives, not to feel fucking guilty and ashamed all of the time. That's boring. It's a waste of time. It doesn't make you feel good. So let it go, fuck it off, and just say see you later. So I'm going to see you in the next vid, number 4 in this Fun with Food series on reconnecting to your body.